This is self-control. This is regulation.
Do you think that type of self-control could relate to what we go through in recovery as far as like avoidance of giving into the urges to go back to using or drinking? I think we have to kind of do the same thing to tough it out and stay sober.
I would say not tough it out. It is, I think we mentioned this earlier before we came on. Like, it's not the actual vice. It's not the alcohol. It's not the nicotine. It's not the food. It's not the whatever it is. It's not the dopamine from the scrolling. It's ultimately, that's not the problem. That's a solution to the problem.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Oh, hey everyone. Welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan. I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Sober Strong Apparel. Sober Strong Apparel isn't just lifestyle wear, it's battle gear. Heavyweight tees, hoodies, and gear for the ones who draw a hard line. Clean, sober, no compromise. We rep sobriety like a badge of honor. And every piece you throw on says you're a part of the crew that doesn't back down. And every order fuels recovery with 10% donated to treatment facilities, because we don't just talk about it, we stand on it. So go to SoberStrongApparel.com, use the code ROCKBOTTOM, all capital, all one word, and get 10% off your purchase. I love what this company stands for. The clothing looks amazing. And happy holidays to all of you. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the show. And definitely check out SoberStrongApparel.com. All right. Welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan. My guest here today is Andrew Shaw. Andrew, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you, Ron. Thank you for having me on.
I appreciate you being on the show, and what we were just talking about, what your background is. Usually my show is about a lot of recovery related stuff, but one of the things I want to start driving a little more into is mental health, not just men's mental health or whatever, but just mental health in general, because I know a lot of it does go hand in hand with a lot of the stuff we talk about in addiction and recovery. So I figured having a little expert opinion on the show would be really helpful, and just wanted to talk to you for a bit today about it.
Sure. Yeah, happy to.
Well, I appreciate it. So first of all, would you kind of, give us, give my listeners a little bit of a background of how you got into it, your education, all that stuff, and what you do?
Yeah, of course. Where do we start? 1997, college with applied psychology. Remember I didn't want to. I was vehemently against doing it, but like going to college, my mom at the time drove me there, and she said, you're doing something. And I chose that just because it was like, okay, I'll go along with this. And chose psychology. And then, even though I didn't want to do it, I found myself enjoying it. And, there was, as I said, there was a reluctance and resistance to do it. Any educational stuff at that time, I didn't enjoy school or exams or anything at all like that. But yeah, it was one subject that sort of fascinated me. And, I suppose that was the seed that was planted. And then from there, went on to university, actually did a coaching degree at university, and then finishing at university, went into healthcare. So I was finished up working for a healthcare company as health. I think the title was a well-being physiologist. So I would have consultations with people that come to the health club, go through lifestyle And it was like a pop the hood MOT doing some blood work as well, and lifestyle, and talking about behaviors. And then I would write the report for their life insurance policy and send that off to the companies. Yeah, that's sort of after university. Then went sort of back into Open University alongside doing this
Where are
role
you
with the health
from, by the
club.
way?
Where am I from?
Yeah.
I'm from the UK, so Surrey, technically.
Oh, okay.
Deepest, darkest county is
Uh-huh.
Surrey. And yeah, so I was there, where was I? Yeah, upskilled with psychology and Open University. Studied counselling, diploma in that, various other psychotherapies. ACT would be the one that is my preferred, I suppose. And then, yeah, continued to sort of learn with that. Joined the fire service, somewhere in there, and served for West Sussex for, 14 years. Yeah. And then it sort of culminated with me finishing the health club when I was noticing that the people that were coming for the consultations would be the same people, over and over. So there was no change in their lifestyle. It's like, oh, okay, here we go again. I could have copied and pasted from the previous year their consultation things. And I was like, nothing's really changing here. So I spoke to the powers that be at the health club and said, what about we engage in some, delivering some behavior change and some, behavioral, I suppose, therapy. And they didn't really take to that. It was, for them, it was repeat custom. So I'm like, okay, this is falling on deaf ears. So I went out on my own. I was still working for the fire service at the same time, so I had that going along conjunction. Then, yeah, started my coaching thing. Was more sort of early in the days, but sort of focused on sort of the physical, then moved over and then started more and more doing, I suppose, coaching for mental health.
Okay.
Iterated over the years, and yeah, found myself, yeah, going down that path. And yeah, I'm glad I did. It's really enjoyable.
Did you yourself ever suffer from any, like, say, mental health issues like depression and anxiety, stuff like that
Yeah.
made you want to go through it?
Do you know what? It wasn't the catalyst for me starting. It wasn't the crux of me going down this route. It was realized sort of, it definitely gave it a boost and affirmed what I was doing and consolidated it in a way. But it wasn't the catalyst for it. It was like just sort of later on in experience depression. Yeah, going through that. And I suppose that sort of pivoted and shifted a little bit more with doubling down on the mental health focus and the experience and education, and putting more of that content out there on social media, which seemed to resonate with people. Yeah. Then going through depression when was that? Yeah, that was some time ago. But that definitely, it's weird because when you're there and you're in it, it's the worst thing ever, and you don't see an end to it. But once you sort of come out the other side of it and you look back, and it might sound weird, and I don't, if people might not understand this, but I'm very grateful that it happened to me. Yeah, I'm not sure if people who are currently experiencing it, or maybe just on the other side of it, or struggling with it, will be able to comprehend that. But it does get to a point where you're like, actually, I'm really grateful for that happening to me, because it forced me to change. It forced me to make life changes. And yeah, decisions and take action on things because it was unbearable at the times, and you're forced by circumstance to make these changes. And going through that stuff, let's say the acute life catastrophes, your divorce, your loss of loved ones, let's say partner diagnosed with cancer a couple of times, or parent hospitalized, and work at tribunals, and you just, let's say, tribunals, but there's only the one. And that, when those things sort of converge and you've got several of those things going on at the same time, then you're like, oh, this is quite, so this was after I found out about, let's say, the depression. And this was, let's say, making change with depression, post-depression, making life changes. Then later on in life, being faced with these, like several of these life events at the same time, and then going, actually, I've developed this thing. I have the tools, I have the knowledge, I have the education. I have this structure in place. That I have this, I don't like to call it mindset, but maybe ideology, maybe system in place, belief system. And I was able to deal with that, several of those things occurring at once in like a short period. And it was like putting it to the test, really. It's like, oh, okay, well, I talk about this stuff and I've been through that, and then these life events are happening. I just sort of seemed to notice that was a lot of people, when faced with one of these things, it's like they check out, or you don't hear from them again, or they're down everything else in their life to focus on this problem, ruminating it. They get sort of pulled into it, knowing from education and knowing from what I believed to have this sort of structure and routine in place, because when you're going through these stressful times, the mind will latch on to, let's say, any uncertainty just exacerbates this. So if you've got some structure, if you've got some practice, semblance of routine in your day, you've got that predictability, it alleviates it massively. If you've got in your day some practices, some structure, some activities that are, say, mental well-being focused. Yeah, it was like, okay, here's the acid test. Let's see how I deal with all this going on. And it was quite a surreal experience. But I don't know if you've ever seen that meme of the dog cartoon. And he's sitting in the table and the whole of the room's on fire. And he's like, this is fine. I don't know if you've seen, that's quite a popular meme. And I was like, I feel like that dog. And I was thinking, am I just deluding myself? I was like, no, I'm actually handling this well. All of this stuff is happening. And it's not to say that you're avoiding or not dealing it with an emotional level. Don't get me wrong. There's like sort of, times where you're just crying at your keep, or like sort of, getting angry about things. But if you're, for me, like processing that emotion, learning to process that emotion and learning to deal with it, not avoiding it or suppressing it or repressing it, which was a thing for me in my earlier years and later on into adult life. But yeah, just dealing with all that stuff. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you come out the other side of it. And from dealing with it properly, I believe I was able to truncate the experience and just go, okay, well, I'm still engaging in my life. Like, this is happening. This divorce, this tribunal, this hospitalization of a parent. And I was like, oh, okay, this is all going on. I'm still sticking to this structure and routine. I know this will get me through it, so to speak. And I'm doing this with regards to, let's say, I call it active meditation, or I think metacognition is like the technical term for it. You're noticing what you're thinking. So every morning, I don't know if you've seen any of my stories, I will just go for a walk and run or a swim every morning, just in silence. And this is just me training myself to notice what this equipment between my ears is thinking. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm just training myself to notice these thoughts, and my ability to notice them, voice them, and then they go. I'm not trying. The problem comes is when I used to engage with them when I didn't notice those thoughts. So I wasn't seeing my mind as this separate sort of entity. I was those thoughts. I was those emotions and feelings. You get sucked into this almost mental movie, this imagined scenario. It's like a full 4D experience where you're feeling everything. You're going through this and this event that's, you're forecasting for the future. You're just like, oh, this feels awful. This is going to happen. Without wanting to be, you're the protagonist in this mental movie. And you're just like, this is awful. I'm waking up day after day after that. I'm like, okay, I'm fusing with these thoughts. Having that practice in the morning, rain or shine, I will go out and run, walk, or swim in silence for just a few minutes. I haven't got Garmin tracker or anything. I'm not doing it for pace. I'm not doing it for lap times. I'm just doing it for the practice of being alone in silence with my mind and just some form of movement in nature. Like I said, as I live in the deepest, darkest parts of Surrey, I'm in the middle of nowhere, like there's just fields. So I'm just like, okay, there's woodlands out there, there's fields out there, there's a lake 15 minutes that way. I'll just do those things. It's like a priority every morning. I practice that. And then having these other routines, journaling, which it's not keeping a diary. It's not writing about windy walks or the beauty of a packet of crisps floating in the air. I'm documenting, let's say, activities that happen in my day where there's gratitude. So, someone said this, someone let me out in traffic. I'm scanning over the point of my day and just aware and knowing that our mind is very much attuned to the negative because that helped us. Our ancestors survived in the Paleolithic era. It would be prudent to fear the worst when you hear that rustling in the long bushes and the long grass and the bushes. And you should be more scared because there was danger there. But there's not a lot of danger, like threat to life here. Now it's sort of, it's not real threat. It's actually just a sort of perceived danger to us that we're sort of reacting to. So for me, being aware that our mind is very much attuned to that negative, I combat that with gratitude. So I do that in the evenings, just a bit of gratitude right all day. Some reflection on maybe there was like something happened which elicited an emotion in my day. So it could be the smallest, it could be something, but it's just acknowledging that emotion and then also the exact things as, giving it as much specificity as possible to improve not only emotional vocabulary, but my awareness of it, my ability to name it when it comes up. Just write about that. And then an important thing that I've got to do tomorrow, like the thing that is uncomfortable and just, do you know what I'm talking about? It's like the thing that you're like, oh, I don't want to do that, but I've got to do that.
And
it's like an avoidance thing. Yeah. So it's me. And I know that procrastination comes from somewhere, and it's usually an experiential avoidance. Don't know if you're familiar with that term, but it's
no. Please explain it.
Okay, so my thing is my thing. It's not my thing, but what I focus on heavily is this experiential avoidance. So the unwillingness of people to be with these inner thoughts, emotions, sensations, feelings, like I'm willing to be that. So they will do something to distract themselves to make that go away. This could be drinking, smoking, eating when you're not hungry, scrolling on social media. So these are like, let's say, away moves. So they move you away from that uncomfortable thought or feeling. And when we're looking, these typically come up, in times of, let's say, we'll have a thought about something, we'll interpret, and that will transmute into an emotion. Then we'll have this inner experience. People are like, oh, I don't like this. I'm going to do this. Or when we come to do something, take action on something like a towards move, it could be whatever it is, a project. It could be having an uncomfortable conversation. And to do that, we might have to be with these uncomfortable feelings. So it's like that, we can choose the away move, the distraction, or we can choose to be with that discomfort, to acknowledge it, not try and make it go away, just to be with it and take action. Because when we're okay with that feeling, we'll execute on the task. It's not so much the task. It's not the thing. It's the feeling that people don't want.
Okay.
Me just having a conversation is having a conversation, that the feelings that arise that our mind evokes, that's something that people want to avoid. So experiential avoidance is the crux of it. So we're trying to avoid something. The majority of 99.9%, that's not accurate stat, but if we look at the majority of people's problems, it's an avoidance. They're avoiding something. It's usually comfortable in our experience that they don't want to be with. So they will do these things to, whatever it is, whatever vice or action, or, even shouting or even something to make that go away. It feels like we're not being with it, whatever the uncomfortable feeling is, whatever the emotion is. We don't want to be with it. We want to do something to make it go away, rather than sit there and be with that experience. So, yes, that experiential avoidance is something that's very dear to my heart, and being able to be with those uncomfortable, being willing to be with that discomfort, has allowed me to do everything I've wanted to do, really. So, yeah,
Can you give
that's
an
experience.
example of how you've worked through that experiential avoidance? Like specific?
Yes. So having these practices in my day, doing these, let's say, a couple of things, time in silence, journaling, cold exposure would be a perfect, let's say, analogy of that. Choosing to do the thing that I know is beneficial for me when the resistance shows up, like 6:44 every morning, turning that shower to cold. And it's a very raw physical sensation. And when I'm about to do it, my mind used to sort of push back. It used to go, oh, no, do it tomorrow, or you're feeling a bit of the weather, or it's too cold outside, or whatever excuses it's trying to do to stop me from doing that thing. From being, it doesn't, this comes down to that pleasure pain thing. It's like, okay, do the pleasurable thing, not the painful thing. And our mind is always encourages for survival purposes to do that pleasurable thing. It doesn't want us. So when we're choosing the painful thing, that's me going, okay, resistance is showing up. I've got a story about that, actually, just noticing that thought and that mind and that those thoughts coming up. And me, how do I say it? Just turning that shower dial to cold. And, when that hits you, like, oh, wow. And it's a painful experience. It's raw, and you are just controlling and breathing whilst you're rotating and spinning around in the shower. And it's, to me, it helps you to experience those uncomfortable, raw sensations, similar to like emotion. Like, oh, okay, I'm experiencing this, but I can control the behavior. I can regulate my breathing instead of hyperventilating, like most people do when they're sort of getting cold. They breathe to sort of hyperventilate, then that's it. So I'm like, okay, can't control this emotion. I can't control this raw physical sensation that's coming through, this energy that's coming through me, this neurophysiological effect. But I can train myself to control the behavior whilst I'm experiencing it. So there's cold, there's pain, there's emotion, there's pain. I'm like, okay, I can't do anything about this. I can't control that. That's there. I'm experiencing this. And I can choose this. I can train myself to do this whilst this. So two separate things, the emotion, the pain, and then the behavior, the action. Two separate things. People think they're sort of intertwined, or because you feel this, have to do this. And it's like, oh, okay, no, we're two separate things. This is self-control. This is regulation.
Do you think that type of self-control could relate to what we go through in recovery, as far as like avoidance of giving into the urges to go back to using or drinking? Think we have to kind of do the same thing to tough it out and stay sober?
I would say not tough it out. But it is, I think we mentioned this earlier before we came on. Like, it's not the actual vice. It's not the alcohol. It's not the nicotine. It's not the food. It's not the whatever it is. It's not the dopamine from the scrolling. It's ultimately, that's not the problem. That's a solution to the problem. It's like, okay, I don't want to be with this uncomfortable feeling. Yeah, I don't want to be with this shame. I don't want to be with this. I don't want to be with this loneliness. I don't want to be with this fear. I don't want to be with this feeling, this inner experience. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it go away by doing this. And this
Kind of
will
like
elicit a
me
feel good.
having a vape, when I'm interviewing and stuff. It's like I think about doing interviews without vaping sometimes, and I'm just kind of like, no, but I don't feel comfortable without it. So the
There we
longer
go.
yeah.
Yeah. Perfect example. Perfect
Yeah.
example, right? Some
Yeah.
self-awareness right there. I mean, it's like, oh, okay, why do I have this? Is it an anxious thing? Is it because like I'm talking to this person and I feel a bit anxious doing it? Yeah, I wouldn't feel that. And how would it be to sit with that? And people are like, oh no, I need this. It's become, these companies that sell like medical drugs or alcohol or nicotine, they're not selling products. They're helping you avoid uncomfortable feelings. That's what it is. This inner experience. They're like, oh, I know, they know they've caught on to something that's very lucrative, very damaging for the consumer, but very lucrative, is that people will go to great lengths, incredible lengths, to avoid being with an uncomfortable inner experience because it's terrifying, or they just associate with the worst from maybe early programming. They're just like, no, I can't do this. They've never been taught to regulate. They've never been comfortable with those emotions, or they were shown how you deal with those emotions from a caregiver, parent, an authority, or as someone they looked up to. It's like, oh, okay, that's how we deal with that. So for me, yeah, that's having those things in my day, like regulating, keep me regulated, I should say, and that I know the benefits. And I know that if I stop doing it, I wouldn't get the benefits. So positive things in my day. But yeah, it's good introspection. It's like, oh, okay, why am I hitting this? What is this helping me to avoid?
Yeah.
What feeling, what inner experience is this regulating?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a perfect example, right?
But yeah, well, it used to be alcohol for me, like social, sort of like, oh, I'm out, I'm conscious, and they're self-conscious, I should say, and alcohol would give you this feeling, and it's not enhancing anything, it's making an uncomfortable feeling go away. It's just like, oh, okay, it's not that, it's not making the experience better or achieving anything or like enhancing it. What it's doing is I'm using it to make a feeling. So there's a difference. It does come down to context. I'm not saying that, have someone having a drink at a wedding or a glass of wine with a meal to complement the meal is experiential avoidance. That's a different thing. So the context is quite important here. That's just complementing that occasion. When we come home and say, I need a drink after the day I've had, and that's something different. That's regulating the emotion. That's going, oh, I don't want to feel like this. I feel stressed, I feel this. And this will elicit some neurochemicals to make that feeling go away. It's like a relief.
So do you think me and other listeners I have being in recovery, the fact that we are going through each day not using the drug that used to numb us or that we used to use to cope with situations, do you think that's us countering our experiential avoidance, like working with it?
Say that again, Ryan. So what would you say? You're engaging.
Yeah, being in recovery, everybody, a lot of my listeners and stuff, being in recovery and not choosing to pick up that bottle or pick up that drug anymore. Do you think that's us working through the experiential avoidance because we're not doing it anymore and we're learning how to do it, training our brains to get through the day and get through things without it?
So your ways, if I'm interpreting that correctly, you're saying that choosing better is experiential acceptance.
Oh, acceptance. Okay.
So it's more, let's say, it's sort of like rewiring. You're just going, oh, okay, when this feeling used to come up, I would choose that. That would help me how I regulated it. That was immediate. It was very effective. It was quick. And I've been doing it and it's been cemented. And then now it's become a dependency. So that's it. That's ingrained into it. It's how it becomes instinctual, how it becomes automatic, how it becomes, the preferred method. But every time we choose differently, we're like actually recognizing that when it comes up, that urge, that stimulus, and I just be with that, starting point might, it might be just like, oh, okay. Just recognizing it, recognizing the pull, recognizing the drive, recognizing the trigger, recognizing the stimulus, recognizing when that feeling comes up. It's like acknowledging that inner experience and just being willing to just maybe extend the contact with it. Not saying that you have to go cold turkey or that you failed because you are eventually gave in. What I'm saying is, can you be with that uncomfortable feeling for a little bit longer? Can you notice it before because it's instinctual and automatic to most people with these negative habits. They don't even think about it, but I'm just like, can you just notice what the feeling or the thought that's, let's say, maybe even transmuted into a feeling that's prompted you there? Can you recognize that trigger that's made you go for that? What emotion or feeling or inner experience? Can you just look at that? Can you just, not them or that or anything external? Can you just notice what's happening in yourself and just go, what's this? And then go, okay, I've noticed something here. I feel, I'm sort of sitting with it a little bit. And you may still, at the end, you may still choose to have that drink, whatever it is. You may still choose that. But the fact that you notice that automatic, let's say, behavior, or that you've noticed the stimulus to it, that's a big step, because then you've got something to work with. Then you can say, oh, okay, well, that was the stimulus, and that was I didn't just automatically react. Give myself a little bit of gap. When we start to give ourselves that space and that gap, it's like, oh, okay. There's a possibility of choice here. That's a powerful thing. I can't remember the guy that came up with that. But he said between stimulus and response is the power of choice. What was his name? It'll come to me. Anyway, just like you notice that gap. You notice that time between that feeling that comes up, the stimulus, the trigger, whatever it is. And then you notice the gap between that. That is a big step. You're rewiring. You're just going, oh, okay, well, this is usually do this habit, this behavior. And you've just put a pause in there.
And while it's rewiring over time, it tends to get easier and easier, right? For any situation.
Yeah. Yeah. So that new behavior, let's say the current behavior of vaping is like well grooved. It's like what do you call it, highway over there? Yeah, you've got like 7 lanes. It's ridiculous. 7 mistakes, haven't you? It's just, So it's like 7 lanes. It's well grooved. It's like, there's the bag straight to it. But this new behavior that you're going to have to start sort of rewiring, that's in there, but it's sort of like overthrown, hacking through with a machete in the hours. It's like a really overgrown path. You're just like, oh, okay, I'm going on this Inca trail to get to this, ancient Mayan civilization. I'm going to have to hack my way through to where I want to get to. Your, current behavior is that well grooved. It's like, boom, your brain loves efficiency and loves energy conservation. So it's like, do that. This is easy. This is what we've always done. Maximum efficiency, minimum effort. And you're just like, okay, I'll do that. The other way's harder. Rewiring's harder. You're like having to break connections, reform.
It's a great analogy.
So you're hacking through that jungle to get to that sort of new behavior. And it's work. But the thing is, the more you do it, the more you sort of take that path, the work that you do, let's say that pause and that being with that uncomfortable feeling, that inner experience, you are just creating that route there. Then maybe there's some shingle put down. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but it's like pebbles or stones. Like then you put some of that down. That's sort of the path gets a bit more clearer and then easier, and then it becomes maybe a footpath. You're just like, oh, okay, well, it's a bit easier to get to this place, to that bit, access that behavior. And then it's like, oh, okay, let's put an A road through there. And it's just like, and then you're building that. And then before you go, you've got this highway to this new behavior. The old highway, the old behavior, that pathway becomes overgrown. And it starts to sort of become less, as it becomes less used, it's like, okay, the maintenance valves, it's then to the point where it is that footpath that you originally started that new behavior with. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but that's what's going in my head.
That makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense. So in your career now, what would it be like when somebody reaches out to you to be their, say, coach? Because you said you could have a million titles right now as far as what you do. What would you do if somebody reached out to you right now for your assistance?
Well, first of all, right, I would ask them some questions. Just say, thanks very much and well done for reaching out, because that takes courage, and not many people do that. Most people don't. Most people, as I said, don't hit that rock bottom. It's posture, and, deflect. And I'm fine. And this facade they put on for a long time. They were, let's say, allow themselves to get to that point of brokenness or humbleness or rock bottom, and just say,
kind of like what we do in recovery when we hit our rock bottoms and we get so low, but we still want to try to figure out on our own. We still want to keep our mouths shut and not reach out for help.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing.
It is. It's just, you have to, it's collapse. It's just, you're stripped bare, and there is no, that ego is fully dissolved. Just like, okay, well, this, a lot of people are concerned about how other people might see them or their opinions. And it's like, if you let go of that, you might reach that rock bottom, which is a pivotal place. It's a turning point. So, yeah, if you can, when you get to that point, it's just like, then there's like a humbleness, and then it's like, oh, okay, I need help with this. Fully admit that you're capable, that you need someone to help you out there. It's, yeah. But it's not, it's an awful place, but it is, the other side of it, it's something when you go through that, when you, and let's say, are courageous enough to reach out, to ask for help, to be humble, and to let go of that facade and ego. Maybe there's some vulnerability there, you sort of reluctant to engage in. Maybe there's some ideas around masculinity, or the fact that asking for help makes you weak. There's all sorts of, can I swear?
Yeah, too much pride sometimes, or
is it all right to swear?
Yeah.
podcast, right? So there's too much like fucked up, like interpretation of masculinity. It's like, oh, okay, don't do this, or suppress it down. Don't show this weakness. And it's like, it's not weakness. Like vulnerability is just you being open and honest and devoid of ego. Aggression and suppression, that's weakness. That's, when someone's like not asking for help and they're clearly hurting, it's just like, you're worried about like sort of what other people might think. You're worried about their opinions and their judgments. And that's not going to help. It's okay, to ask for help is a humbling experience. And, being down the bottom and the, let's say, the basement level like below the bottom floor of Dante's map of hell, that ground floor, the basement level. When you get down there, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I need help. I'm in this infantile position, and I don't know how to get out of this. There are no windows, there are no doors, there is no clocks on the wall. It's just this awful darkness down there. But the thing is, God, you can't think your way out. You have to feel your way out. So you have to address some stuff, and it forces you to change, and it forces you to address these issues that you probably been suppressing down for a long, long time, and allowing them, look at there's for one of them. I'm going to say shadow aspect, the unconscious, what's down there that's causing this. And for me, depression starts, let's say it's a process. It's when let's say, emotional neglect in childhood loads the gun, and then these acute life catastrophes, they pull the trigger. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. When you have a few, and then we have one of those pulled. For me, it was parenting that did it. That was, that's what fired the gun for me. Just like when I was, son first came along, and like deal with his emotions. It's just like, oh, I am not equipped for this, and why is this triggering me? Him having some perfectly natural neurophysiological event, and he's scared, and I'm shouting at him and wanting him to stop. I'm like, it doesn't feel good. It's, what am I doing? I'm really struggling. And that led to it ultimately. And, marital problem. And then you're just like, oh yes, here we go. And then every day you wake up and you are in that mental movie. You're hooked, you're caught up, fused to those thoughts, like in the suffering in your head, and you're going through that scenario, like, oh, then we're going to divorce, futuring, and just going, and we're going to get divorced, and then we're going to have to sort out the, sort of rights to the children and all of this. And it's just like every day you wake up like that, and it's like, this is quite painful. And then it gets to that point where, for me, suicidal ideation is where your mind is just, let's say your mind's like a bubble machine, and it's just spewing out bubbles of thoughts. And when you're hooked, when you don't realize what it's doing, and when you're not aware of this machinery, when it not turns against you, but when you're going through these emotional periods, these life catastrophes, all of these thoughts are there, and the emotional energy is just supercharging that bubble machine, and it's pretty much negative, unhelpful thinking thoughts that's coming out of that bubble machine, like those bubbles. When you get hooked into that, that's when you're sort of caught up in that mental movie, like reliving that past memory of future prediction. And it's just like, This is awful. And when you get to a point where it's like maximum emotional pain and stress, and then you start thinking, I'm ready to leave this earth. And then maybe a thought is in there about how about you just kill yourself, and you're just like, oh wow, this is really bad. But that's just your mind giving you a solution. It's just going a thought. It's like, oh, okay, well, here's some thoughts. Here's some thoughts. They're not truths. They're not you. I'm the one, you come to realize you're the one that noticing the thoughts. You're the one that's noticing the feelings. The thoughts aren't you. The emotions aren't you. You just get caught up in them.
Noticed when my anxiety used to be so bad, when I would have panic attacks and stuff like that, I just remember looking back at it now, I was like, I would build up these outcomes in my head that weren't even possible, that would never happen. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, exactly that. These scenarios, these imagined scenarios, you're just caught up in this bubble of thought. And it's just like the more you don't stay in there, and it gets more emotional, and it transmutes, and you get pulled into this maelstrom of emotion. And you just start doing this, you start spiraling down. It's like, there's the emotional, there's the stress, there's negative appraisal, more stress, and you go down and down. You become very fixated at juice. And it's just like, oh, this is awful. You swirl down that to the bottom, and you're just like, oh, this is maximal pain. But when that thought comes in, and your mind is just going, You should just tie that up there and put it around your neck. And you're just like, oh, wow, that is maximal, pain. Thinking about that. And thankfully, I was very grateful to have, I suppose, and some awareness of this and noticing thought when, it's something that happened to me. It was at university, and I was working in a sports centre, and it was this job that I particularly hated. And then I noticed that my mind was just like, I noticed the thought of like, I don't want to do this. And that was the first time really, drunk and stupid it was university, life's longest weekend. I noticed my thinking. I was like, oh, okay, how about I can let that be there and just do this task? I'm not going to engage with it. I'm not going to fight with it. I'm just like, I can let that thought be. And that was like a pivotal moment for me. And I remember texting someone about like, I just had the weirdest experience. This day has been nuts. Like, having that, I don't know what prompted it or, whatever. It's weird and wonderful, but I'm grateful that it happened. I just noticed that thought. I was like, I don't feel like doing that. And that experience was like, oh, I don't want to do these books. And I was like, how about I just do it? Well, let that be. Notice that thought. And it was like, okay, that's weird. And that was, I think for me, that was the first time I've noticed like my mind thinking. I was thinking about 21. I was like, oh, okay. I'm noticing now. I'm seeing it. I'm not getting caught up in that. It's just this, it's like my eyes have turned back and looked at my mind. And it's like, oh, okay, I see what it's doing. It's not me. It's this separate seeing it as a separate entity. It's just like it can say all those things, and I can still choose the action and the behavior. Like all these thoughts are doing there, and it's like they're trying to hook me, and these feelings are trying to pull me into this. And I can still do that. I can just let them be. It's a good analogy that someone came up with. It's like a radio playing in the background. It's just letting that play. It can be there like a dull headache. And you're just like, oh, I'm still going to do this thing. And since then, I have been able to do really much, developing that, been able to do pretty much what I need to do at the time I need to do it. And, it's allowed me to do all sorts of things, being able to notice those thoughts. More meditation I've done, the more I have developed and consolidate that skill to notice these thoughts. Don't get that. I just notice them. Like I said, I just voice them, write them down. But yeah, it's been incredibly helpful. It's allowed me to do all sorts of things in my life to just go, oh, okay, that's just my mind doing its thing. And I'll just let that be. I've noticed these thoughts. And now it's very rare that I get caught up in those imagined scenarios. Very rare. And I notice a lot of thoughts. And I'll write them down and I'll voice them and post them on social media. People seem to find it helpful. But anyway, I have digressed massively from your original question. So if someone wants to get in touch, first of all, I would say to them, well done on reaching out. Then asking some questions, really. Like, am I a good fit for you to work with? Because we need to have a good relationship. And we need to sort of be right. It's all I could be the best in the world at what I do. Well, second best. But if if there's not a good relationship between, let's say, guide, coach, and the client, it's never going to work. You need to, let's say, trust me. So I need to find out ultimately where they are in terms of readiness. Are they one that they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not ready for change. It's not painful enough. I haven't hit lowest point yet. It's not rock bottom, let's say.
So you can tell who you'll work with based on their desire to work on whatever they reached out for.
Yeah, I think it's like a scale. Let's say 1 to 7 of like, okay, 1 is they're not really ready, or someone else has prompted them. Not coming from them. It's not their initiation. My wife's told me I need to speak to you on this. I think
Kind of like
There's the
people in
fundamental-
recovery, sometimes we're not ready to get recovered because we're getting pressure from our loved ones or friends to
Yeah.
get help, but we don't want the help. So you can tell.
Yeah.
So
That's it. It's just like, oh, okay, you're a one, or you're not there yet. You're not vested. Someone else is prompting you to do this. It's tolerable, let's say. And then we move up the scale to where it's a point, it's like, it's unbearable. Like for some people, it's like unbearable, and I am ready to make a change. Like that's the sweet spot. So for me, I'll assess that through some series of questions and just go, oh, okay, is this right for you? Is this, are you actually ready for change? And then there might be people at the other end of the scale. It's like, you don't need me. You're pretty much on the right track. You're pretty much there. I think, I don't know why you're looking to do this. Maybe there's some infatuation with personal development, or you're looking for something. So it's got to be a right fit. But ultimately, if they reach out, I'll ask a series of questions just to make sure it's right for them. It's got to be right for them, because otherwise it doesn't work. That's wasting both of our time.
do they all commit to a 12-week program? I saw something about that on your.
Yeah. So it's when we start. So it's we have an agreement in place. It's like, okay, we'll commit to this 12 weeks. You do this, go through this. So I put together like a syllabus, a workbook that we work through over the 12-week period. And it's like values, it's like, what is experiential avoidance? How is it holding you back? Why is it impacting you? Steps to overcome. And, there's a process, a syllabus, and we work through that workbook over the 12-week period. And then, I ask them to commit to that. And I just say, look, at the end of that, if you're not happy, I'll give you your money back. If you commit to that, if you do it, and if you are there, if you show up to all the sessions, if you do the work, if you start implementing these things into your day, start taking action, because it is action. We will agree on these action steps in session. It's just like, okay, we've had the talk. That's great. We've shared some stuff. We've touched on some things. We've identified, let's say, the avoidance. We've, gone through that on this topic on this week. And then it's a case of, right, I want you to take these small action steps, this one action step, what was 2 action steps, this move between our session, because that's where it's sort of working. That's where we're changing, not in session. It's like applying these to real world scenarios, like in real time. I'm like, okay, I want you to have this conversation with this, or I want you to do this, or I want you to implement this. We agree on that. I'm like, okay, you do all those things. 12 weeks, you commit to that. And if you're not happy at the end of the 12 weeks and you don't think that you are getting a valuable experience, and I'll give you money back.
Okay.
So that's
one of the
most
commitment. Okay. So what's one of the most common themes as far as what people reach out to you for help? Like, what's your specialty, would you say?
Well, can be like, for me, these experiences can show up in all, the experiential avoidance can creep up in any life domain. It's like with work or with relationships or with health. It's like, okay, why are you avoiding doing that thing? What's what's blocking you from doing that thing? What aren't you doing? It's just getting to that really. It's like, what are you avoiding? Understanding the cost of it. That's what you're doing to currently, I think. It is looking at that and identifying those things. But I suppose, relationships is quite, if it's personal or romantic. Yeah, relationships is quite a big one. I think a lot of people struggle with that, guys who maybe had grown up in maybe absent father or unstable mothers. I'm like, oh, okay. That's one that's quite common. Yeah, with that there's a sort of whole host of issues and problems that arise in sort of about emotional regulation as well in relationships. Why a lot of guys, aggression is a problem, anger is not a problem. The aggression that it transmutes into, if you're willing to deal with that anger, any emotion, there's no good or bad. It's all data, it's all telling us something, and us being with that, and how do I put it, expressing it appropriately and regulating ourselves while we're experiencing it. And that can do wonders for your relationship, not explode, not be aggressive, which leads to, let's say, feelings of unsafety with your partner. If she's a woman, that aggression can be a big, let's say, concern, because they no longer feel safe in the relationship. That's one of their, say, main concerns, like protection or safety. So being able to regulate those emotions yourself is a big thing. So I would probably, maybe, it's close one. Probably relationships, just tops it, business and work and career is close second. Parenting's actually, parenting.
Have you ever worked with two people, like a couple at once, as opposed to just individuals?
Don't do that. No, only individuals.
Are you all people of all ages, all genders?
Mostly men.
Also.
Mostly between the ages of 35 to 45, probably, like over 30 to 45.
Kind of like those midlife.
Yeah, it's when it's the
on.
point of, let's say life stuff happens, like kids, marriage, it's just at that point, it tends to be around that age ballpark when this life stuff happens. It's like, I'm going through this divorce, I'm going through this parenting thing, I'm going through this thing at work, in my career. So it's like that area. Maybe younger people haven't experienced that, and it tends to get to that. It's like, this keeps happening in my relationships, or I'm really struggling with this parenting thing. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, let's have a chat.
Okay, so one more topic I want to kind of go over is just what you mentioned earlier, just kind of that masculinity thing, how us men are kind of shaped into people that aren't supposed to be emotional, and like we're supposed to be able to just toughen up and get through things. How do you feel about that? Is that pretty common thing you deal with, and how do you respond to that stuff?
That's quite a common thing. I think damaging unhealthy ideologies around masculinity. A lot of it is aggression. A lot of it is it's like glorifying self-destruction as well. It's like, or womanizing, or there's some pretty messed up, let's say, views and perceptions of what masculinity is, because it's so allergic to anything, let's say, emotional. They usually reserve for women. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's problematic now, isn't it? Because let's say, have a look at the suicide rate. Head and shoulders above when it comes to that. And yes, again, they're, sort of guys, when they choose like sort of suicide, they go for more lethal methods of suicide. That's to be taken into consideration. But for me, that just shows the seriousness and the intent behind it, and that they are struggling so much. So I think it's the biggest killer under 40 or something in men. By the time we've finished recording this, I think 4 people would have killed themselves in the UK. So it's just like, okay, there's a problem here. Around masculinity isn't helping. This macho, I'm going to suppress my emotions, I'm going to delete them. There is no deleting of memories or emotions. And there's no delete button in your mind to get rid of them. So you're suppressing them, repressing them, as you were sort of maybe taught, or you didn't feel safe expressing them. And that's the reason why you're pushing them down and being told to do that through, let's say, a survival, didn't feel safe ever expressing them. That's now eating you away from the inside. And I'm like, well, yes, it's not avoidance. It's not Mr. Spock. It's not stoic, lowercase s. There's the stoic, emotion. Or there's stoicism, the philosophical school, where you are looking at emotion. That's big S. You're looking at why these thoughts. You're looking at these emotions. You're kind of like examining them. You're kind of like, why am I feeling? I'm not the emotion. I am feeling it. I'm noticing this thoughts. I'm noticing that I'm feeling this. I'm not it. But it is understanding emotions, suppressing, repressing them. It's about feeling them, but choosing the behavior. That for me is like masculinity. When you can be with that, that for me is like the ultimate. You can be with that feeling, that intense physical sensation, that emotion. You can be with that, still choose kind behavior, let's say appropriate behavior, not destructive, not projecting. Just like that, for me, that self-control, that's the epitome of masculinity. Being able to regulate yourself, that's maturity. If you're acting out, if you're shouting, or if you're doing it's negative, if you're aggressive, that's immaturity. You haven't regulated that. You haven't learned regulation. You can't regulate yourself. You are reverting back to these childlike behaviors when you would experience that feeling before. It's like that's how you would act back then when you felt that, and that trigger now is taking you right back. You are using those childlike responses, reactions, behaviors to deal with that emotion, to deal with that trigger. So it's like that's masculinity for me. You're dealing with that when your son is having a meltdown, and you are there. You're just like, okay, this is not. People interpret it as disrespect, or they walk out, or they shut it down. They're like, I saw it this morning. When they stopped and making a scene, I can't interject, go across the car park. I'm like, excuse me, but you just like you just getting down to their level and being with them whilst they're going through that, scary sensation. You being there, it's like if they let you hold them, just being there and letting them and validating emotionally, being with them. If it's triggering yours, it's going to be very hard. It's where you need to do some work on yourself, because that will probably trigger something in you. It's like a tuning fork, and it's just matching that frequency in you, and that might set you off. But if you can be with that, like their emotional outbursts, and I'm not talking about attachments or behavior. I'm talking about them actually feeling an emotion. If you can be with them and allow them to feel that, validate them, but guide the behavior. I'm not saying that you let them break stuff or kick stuff or damage or hurt. You're just correcting if need be, but you're allowing them to feel and go through that, and you're going through that emotion, not with them. You're just there. You're present. They're not alone with us, and that's for me. That's masculinity. Being able to be, and partners as well. Like let's say your partner, if she's getting emotional, being there with her in that, not trying to fix it, trying to shut it down, not walking away every time it sort of gets tough. You're just going, okay, I'm with you with this. I know you're going through this. Is your thing. It's your emotion, and this is your thing, and I'm here. And it's just like being there, being safe. It's like the analogy I use is swirling like sort of tornado in front of you. You're the guy. They're just standing grounded. You're not getting pulled into it. You're not running away from it. You're just there. You're just facing it. You're just grounded, staying there. You can feel the pull of it, don't get me wrong. But as a regulated man, you are just grounded, you're secure. You're just going, okay, I can tolerate this. I can not tolerate this. It's a negative connotation. I can be with this.
I can handle this.
Whilst they're going through this, I can be there. And that's what they want. To know that they're not alone and they're safe with you whilst this happens. And that is for me, that's masculinity. And it's just, you are in control. You are not doing things. You're not subservient to emotions or impulses. You're choosing. You've got will. You're like, okay, not willpower. You're not sort of making yourself do this, but you're just going, okay, I'm doing this thing. I recognize it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm still doing it. Choosing. And I am, let's say, when it's time. I'm doing this thing when it's time, not when I feel like it. Mood doesn't determine my action. This does. This Casio World Time, 38-pound watch.
I like that.
I've
It's a
had for
classic
many
watch.
years. Yeah, it's a great watch. Do you know what? This has been tested. This has been to the top. Mine's 50, so this can withstand. So I'd like, this is brilliant. So
That's a great
yeah,
watch.
and this determines my actions, behaviors. It's like, oh, okay, 6:30, time to get up. 6:44, time to hit that cold shower.
Yeah.
You know, this breakfast time's over. Oh, okay, work time. Oh, okay, lunchtime. Oh, okay, calls. Oh, okay, jiu-jitsu. Oh, okay, bedtime. I'm just like, it's not my mood, not how I'm feeling. It's my routine structure is like this time. It beeps, and I'm like, okay, time to do this thing.
I like that.
Okay, time to do this thing. I'm not waiting for a feeling, because that feeling of being ready or comfortable is never coming. Quite the
Exactly.
opposite. Your mind's going to go, this is scary, stepping onto the mat, having a fight, or, oh, this is scary, climbing up this ice wall. Oh, this is scary, asking this person. Oh, this is scary, conflict. And you're just like, okay, you're just training your nervous system, teaching it that it's safe. Doing that thing is safe. It's just like, you're updating that system. You're giving it new data. Just going, okay, it just wants to feel safe. So when it doesn't, it's just like, right, here's some uncomfortable feeling. I'm going to push you away from doing this thing. And you have to, you know, when you're okay with that and you can experience it, you're just like, okay, grounded, willing to feel this, and I'm going to take a step forward. And just like, okay, I'm going to step on stage and in front of all these people. Okay, it's fine. Okay, I'm going to walk out to this show on TV. It's okay. It's like, okay. And you can feel it. Like when I first started doing this stuff, it's like gripping. It's like you're having this outer body experience where your mind's like sort of paralyzing you, and you just have to sort of step forward. Yeah, it's a very freeing experience. After you do it enough times, that fear of that thing just dissipates. Just goes, well, oh, okay, I'm okay. Oh, I'm okay. I can, fine, I'm fine. You know, I'll step onto the mat. It's easier every time I do it. Like, you know, compete, fight. Oh, okay, I'll do another mountain. That's fine. Yeah, it's just training that nervous system to go. It's just teaching it. It's like, it's safe. Yeah, it's not a real threat. Yeah.
Good answer. I appreciate that.
Welcome.
One last final question. What advice from your expertise and what you do, what advice would you give to my listeners, you know, whether they're in recovery or struggling with any mental health issues or stresses in life? What advice would you give to them right now?
Get help. Just reach out to someone. You're not, it's funny. Depression has a way of making you feel isolated and alone, like you're the only one experiencing this. Like you're not. And whilst you're in it, it can feel never ending and no one understands. And this is unique to you and no one's going to want them. There is help out there, and you have to just be willing to be courageous and put your hand up and ask for it. And just say, okay, I'm struggling here. Just to put that pride aside, put that ego to one side and just go, it's all right. It's actually very courageous to ask for help, because people don't. Most people, like I said, just posture or a facade, smile, toxic positivity. Oh yeah, fine. And then they're not.
Toxic positivity. That's a good term.
Yeah, it is. It is, you know, slapping a smile on your face, just saying you're fine. It's like, okay, it's all right to admit. You don't have to suck it up because of some messed up belief that that's going to make you weak. It's like you're struggling with something and you're stuck in a loop. You're ruminating on this problem. You haven't resolved some childhood issue. I'm like, you're not going to do that on your own. You're just going to loop even harder. You just need some external perspective and someone to go, actually, have you thought about processing this? Have you thought about discussing this? Have you thought about doing this? What emotion you're avoiding? And then all of a sudden you get out of that loop. Just like, oh, wow, that's feel like a weight is lifted. Once you process that, it can take its toll. This suppression of emotion. Yeah, it's like holding a beach ball underwater for all day. Like, okay, once you let that go, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, in a safe way, in a control, with someone that, let's say, can help you process that and express it appropriately, and you feel safe letting that go. Right, that's a lot of weight shifted. That's a very powerful, let's say, experience.
Thank you. I appreciate your honesty and for kind of describing a little bit about your background and what you do and your perspective on the masculinity and everything. So I really appreciate you being on the show today.
Okay.
And what's a good, do you want to shout out your Instagram for any listeners that want to check out your page?
Yeah, sure. It's Andrew Shaw BSC.
Andrew Shaw BSC.
I only put the BSC on the end because Andrew Shaw was taken. So
Okay.
yes, not me just I've got a degree. No, Andrew Shaw was taken. Okay.
Awesome. All right. And then what does BSc stand for?
Bachelor of Science.
Bachelor of Science. Okay. I was thinking behavioral science counselor or something.
No. Yeah, I paid a lot of money to have those letters afterwards.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's why it's on that. But
all right. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.